everybody, thank you so much for watching. It is so good to see you all again. And if you're new here, then a very warm Mel's Yarniverse welcome to you. Well, Aldi are advertising yarn for sale for the second time this year, and I'm really curious to see what they've got on offer. So grab a bag and let's go check it out. So we've got green and red, which is absolutely gorgeous. Those two colours together are beautiful. Make a lot of good Christmas stuff with that. Pink and blue, like a gorgeous creamy colour. What else have we got? We've got the dark grey and the black. They feel really quite soft. And a white. That's right, they've got a white as well. So that's the cream and that's the white. So you can see the cream's got a bit of a yellowish tinge. Very pretty, and they've all got that same knitted hat pattern on the back. Didn't have patterns last time. How exciting. That was a bit of fun, pretty hectic. I got to look at some yarn and I got my groceries too, so a bit of a win-win. Now, this is the second time this year that Aldi have advertised yarn for sale. Earlier in the year, they had a bigger range of yarn, so I'll take a closer look at that too, just as a bit of a reminder of what they had previously, and then we'll take a closer look at what I picked up today. So, let's get started. So Aldi usually have their annual yarn sale around the start of autumn or around June or July every year. So I was really surprised to see that they were selling yarn again. I just want to show you what they were selling earlier in the year so we could do a bit of a quick comparison with the new stuff. So this was a creamy, chunky yarn that they were selling. This is like somewhere between a probably 12 or 14 ply. It's quite a thick yarn. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to work with it yet. It is very soft and very squishy, but because I haven't worked with it, I don't really have anything I can show you how it works up yet. Apparently, it's been recommended for knitting projects rather than crochet, but I can't see that it would make that much of a difference either way. I think it would work up really nicely either way. But that was the chunky yarn that they had. They also had this beautiful chenille. Now, I love this chenille for amigurumi projects. It's one of my favourite chenille yarns to work with, and the fact that it's only $1.99 a ball is just fantastic. You can probably see that it's not as fluffy as some other chenille yarns. So things like Premier Parfait Chunky and things like that are a lot fluffier, but they also shed a lot more. This is a really reliable chenille. This is actually my favorite colorway for this particular brand, which is the Creative Place brand. 100 grams for $1.99 a ball. It's pretty fantastic. And I can actually show you what some of this works up like. I'll bring in my little stressless test here. And this whole thing was made with the chenille from Aldi. You can see the stitch definition's fantastic. Everything's nice and smooth. It works up really well. And I love this variegated colour for the ears. The ears just always work up so beautifully. They're so lovely and soft. And you can see that the colour transitions just beautifully. It's a really lovely colourway to work with. And just the brand itself is really reliable. But they also had a few other yarns as well. They also had this Creative Place rainbow and ombre yarn. So by rainbow, they mean variegated. And you can see here the lovely color transitions in both the blue and the pink. Particularly the pink, you can see that lovely shade of purple just popping up here and there. It looks gorgeous. And then in the blue, you've got the blue with the lighter blue, the white, and then like a tanny sort of neutral color. It's just lovely. Unfortunately, I still haven't had a chance to work with these guys either, so I can't show you exactly how these work up. But this particular ombre yarn is absolutely beautiful, and I have actually worked with this, so I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. So these Creative Place yarns are all 100% acrylic, and to be fair, when you touch the tops of the cakes, they do feel a little rough. It does feel a little rough, not particularly bad, like my skin's not catching on it or anything like that, but they're just not as soft as some other acrylics are. However, I did use this particular blue ombre yarn to make up one of my scarves. And it looks absolutely beautiful. It's much softer than the cake itself feels once it's worked up. It's actually really lovely. Now the colorways all the way through this ombre yarn are absolutely beautiful. You can see the transition there, but you can also see that it's quite abrupt. It's not a smooth gradient transition that you'd be used to with most ombre yarns. It's quite an abrupt change, which I wasn't really happy with. Being an ombre yarn, I kind of hoped that it would transition a little bit more slowly, a little bit more smoothly, but as you can see, it does quite abruptly change. So there's not really a smooth transition through the colors. I'll just pull that across there so you can see what that looks like. You can see that it's actually quite an abrupt change between those colorways, which can work for you if that's what you're looking for, but I was just hoping for more of a smooth transition for this one. Now, if you're wondering what this pattern is, it's actually my Kindred Spirit scarf. It's just lovely, and I wore this most of winter, to be honest. It was really lovely and really warm too. So that was most of the yarn they were selling previously, but what did they have on sale today? Well, let's take a closer look at that now. So these are the 4 colorways I picked up today. We've got the red, the green, the black, and the white. Now you would have seen from the earlier footage that there were other colorways available. So the pink, the blue, the cream, and I think there's a grey as well. I picked up these 4 because I have a few Christmassy projects in mind, hence the red, green, white, and black. And the reason I didn't pick up any more of the other colorways is because I already have quite a good selection in my stash from last year's Aldi sale, believe it or not. But I can show you how that works up. So what I'm really curious about today is how does this yarn from today stack up against last year's acrylic? Well, let's take a closer look at that. So this first ball is the Creative Place Deep Red, which is obviously the colour they're referring to. It's a double knit yarn, which is what DK stands for. DK means double knit, and here in Australia it normally applies to an 8-ply yarn. It has a knitted hat pattern included on the back of the label, and for each 100-gram ball you get 250 metres of yarn, which is a pretty good deal considering it's only $1.99 a ball. It's a fantastic deal. Now it's 100% acrylic, but it's not the softest acrylic that you'll find out there, but for $2 a ball it's definitely not the worst either. It's definitely one of the softest acrylics I've found in that price range, and I would say it's probably just slightly softer than the Marvel Four Seasons range at Spotlight for us Aussies. It's wonderful for working up projects like cardigans and blankets, and it would actually be a perfect acrylic for amigurumi if you're somebody that likes making amigurumi. Now, I absolutely love this colorway. It is super bright. It's very vibrant. It's going to be perfect for Christmas projects, and it's just gorgeous. But how does it compare with last year's yarn? So this is from last year's stash. It's the Creative Place Cozy Collection 100% acrylic, like this year's. It's also an 8-ply, which is what this year's is as well. You get 100 grams, but for each 100-gram ball, you get 300 metres as opposed to 250 metres in today's yarn. Made in Turkey. There are no recommendations for hook or needle size, although I've been working with a 4.5mm hook and also a 5mm and had no issues. You could probably also go up to a 5.5, maybe even a 6 if you want looser tension and just sort of bigger stitches. I think that would work, but I haven't knitted with this yarn, so I can't make any recommendations for needle sizes. This works up beautifully. And I've got 2 projects to show you what that looks like. Now this particular whip I picked out of my whip pile just the other day to decide whether or not I was going to frog it or finish it, and I decided to finish it. So I've already started work on that already, so I'm super excited about how this is going to look when it's done. But just to show you, this whole thing is made of Aldi yarn. You can see we've got a lovely cream colour, then there's a mustard colour that they had last year, which I'll bring in now. Same brand, same size, same softness, absolutely beautiful. They did not have this colour at all this year. I didn't see it anywhere. So this was last year and I haven't seen it again since, which is a bit sad because it's quite a lovely colour. Then I've got that maroon that I showed you earlier, and then the black. And that black looks like this. I can't really describe this black to you. It's like a void of nothingness. It's the blackest black I've ever worked with. It's incredible. There's no shine or sheen to it. It's just a black hole of blackness. It's absolutely beautiful. And I've actually tried to match other yarns to it. So I've got this year's black. And although you're probably not going to pick it up on camera, this year's black is a bit lighter and it has more of a shine to it than the original black. And I've got some marble around here somewhere. There we go. So here's the Four Seasons marble black. And I'm just going to pop that in the middle. So that's this year's yarn from Aldi. That's the marble, and that's last year's yarn from Aldi. And I know you probably can't see it on camera, but these two have a definite sort of shine to them that this one doesn't. It's almost like these two are glossy and this one's matte. And in terms of softness, they're quite similar, although I would say that the Aldi yarn is just slightly softer, just slightly, not by much though. I mean, if you close your eyes, you probably couldn't tell the difference, to be honest. But I feel like the Aldi yarn's just slightly softer than marble. So that gives you a kind of idea of what to expect when you're working with this yarn. But look at how beautifully it works up. It's really lovely. Nice even stitches. There's not a huge halo of fuzz with this acrylic yarn either. So I'm hoping that means it won't pill too badly. Just looking at the stitch work, it's a bit harder to see with the black yarn. So maybe looking at the cream and the mustard maybe. You can see that stitch definition. You can see how consistently it works up. I've never had any problem with any knots or anything like that in this yarn either. Normally when you're working with a yarn that's that cost effective, you kind of expect knots or maybe color differences between the balls or things like that, but I haven't had any issues like that at all working with this yarn, which is brilliant. So this particular square is going to be a granny square sweater, and I want to show you the other project I made with the Aldi yarn. Can you see me? Hello. So this whole hexagon cardigan, it's not mine, it's for Mr. Yarniverse. He's been wearing it non-stop. It took a lot to get it off him actually. This whole thing was made using Aldi yarn from last year's stash, and it's absolutely perfect. I would have used about 7 or 8 balls of yarn all up, maybe more than that. I've probably got it written down somewhere actually, and never had any issues with knots, any tangled yarn. There was never any problems with the colours not matching or anything like that. It's super soft and really comfortable to wear. And let me show you the back. That's the best bit. Isn't it wonderful? And considering its size, it is super light. Now, the hexie I normally wear was made with acrylic wool blend, so it's actually quite heavy to wear, whereas this thing is super light. Considering it's acrylic, it's really warm too. So he absolutely loves it, and it took me so much to try to get him to take it off so I could film it today. So you're all welcome. And he is waiting for his cardigan back. So give me a second and I'll be back in a sec. So how does last year's yarn compare with this year's yarn? Well, I'm going to work up a quick swatch and we can take a closer look. Okay, so looking at my swatch, I can see that the stitch definition's still just as good. I used a 4.5mm or a 7 hook and had absolutely no issues at all. There were no knots, no tangles. The yarn was nice and smooth on the hook. It feels just like working with last year's yarn, which is fantastic. We can see that the stitches are nice and even and pretty consistent. You can see the stitch definition's still there, which is fantastic. I had absolutely no issues working with this. As I said earlier, I think this would be a great acrylic for amigurumi because I feel like it would hold its shape well. And because there's not a huge halo of fuzz, there's not a huge fuzz across the top of the acrylic. You know how some acrylics are really fuzzy and have that long layer that just sort of pulls right out of the yarn? There's none of that with this yarn, which is fantastic. Hopefully that means it won't pill too badly either, so that's great. But in terms of working with the yarn, super smooth, no issues, stitch definitions there, and I'm really happy with it. So that's great. And the knitted hat pattern looks pretty good too. Not bad. So there you have it, guys. The acrylic yarn that I bought from Aldi today, Wednesday the 15th of October 2025, for those of you watching in the future, is just as good as the acrylic that I bought last year during the annual yarn sale. So I am so thrilled about that. It's a great quality yarn considering its price range. It's not the softest acrylic, but it works up really, really well. Speaking of which, I need to get back to working up my granny square sweater because I can't wait to wear it. As long as Mr. Yarniverse doesn't find out and want one too, because then I'll be in trouble. I need to get started on those Christmas projects too because those colours look amazing. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video just a little bit helpful, and hopefully one day you're able to get your hands on some Aldi yarn and you can share your thoughts with me down in the comments below. If you're somebody that does have an Aldi stash like me, let me know what you've been making with it. I'd love to hear all about your projects. Let me know down in the comments section. I'm always in there chatting away with everyone and having a great time. To anyone who's ever liked or shared one of my videos, thank you so much for that support. It's also a fantastic way of letting me know what kind of content you'd like to see here on the channel. So thank you for your feedback. A huge thank you, as always, has to go out to my beloved yarnies. Thank you so much, my channel members. If it wasn't for your support, I wouldn't be able to keep the channel going and I wouldn't be able to keep creating the content that I know you guys like to see. So thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for the support. All right, guys, take care of each other and take care of yourself, most importantly, because you absolutely do deserve it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.